Hello, and welcome to the video walkthrough of Tealium's new privacy package for early 2018. Tealium's privacy package is focused on one of the GDPR's most critical requirements, consent management. The reason consent management is so important is that for the first time, some very specific regulations and instructions have been provided to ensure that there exists a standard with which consent must be attained from EU citizens that visit your digital properties. Article 7 of the GDPR goes into more detail and adds provisions to this statement. Companies must now keep records to demonstrate consent was given explicitly, as well as whenever it was withdrawn. Tealium's TIQ tag management system is the ideal technology to design the appropriate consent management solution because TIQ is the solution that you have already used to design your tags and the underlying data variables that you will be collecting to fuel those tags. Since TIQ provides instructions as to when to collect data and fire tags, configuring TIQ to also obtain consent is a natural fit. Let's take a look at the new capabilities that TIQ's privacy package will provide us. It starts here in the Privacy Management menu on the left, and you can see that Tealium will provide a means to build an explicit consent prompt as well as a consent preferences dialog. Building these two pieces will fulfill the needs of consent management for your GDPR initiative. We can start by clicking on Get Started for the explicit consent prompt section to build our consent banner. You can see that the wizard contains 4 main sections to input your company's content and messaging for the banner. Here is where the banner is given its title and its messaging that your legal department will use to explain their data tracking methods as the data controller. You can see on the left that Tealium offers a number of different languages for this messaging to be translated to, as well as a default language selection. The next phase provides us with a CSS field to determine where on the page the prompt will appear, as well as an HTML and JavaScript field for customizing the aesthetics of that banner. Following that, we can now build the conditional rules that will determine when the banner will be displayed. The privacy package uses a GDPR rule creation guide to help build these rules. We'll click on Begin Guide to start the process. It first asks about the taxonomy of your TIQ account profile layout in order to understand if your website is reliant upon a single profile for all countries, or instead, if there are multiple profiles for different countries. If there are multiple profiles, the rules will dictate which profiles will qualify for the consent prompt. We'll choose a single profile here to keep things simple. If it's a single profile, we can now build more rules that will help distinguish between top-level domains, subdomains, or folder-based separation for each country. If these exist, Tealium will be able to understand which country a user originates from. We'll choose a single domain here. If it's a single domain, Tealium will then look to see which country a user originates from via the value in the data layer itself. In this case, we've configured a data variable called country to hold the value of the user's country in real time. That leads us to our generated GDPR rules. In this example, you can see that Tealium will outline all the countries that consent is required from in the EU. The final phase lets us save the consent selection as required by GDPR Article 7 by choosing Yes in the log consent changes. GDPR mandates that a user's consent be logged the moment it occurs, and Tealium gives you the ability to save that into its Event Store S3 product, its Event DP Redshift product, or alternatively using Tealium Event Stream, which will stream the data in real time to a destination of your choice. In addition to doing this, Tealium will also give you the ability to omit tags from data tracking consent. These are the tags that have nothing to do with data tracking and will operate as expected with or without consent. This is the summary that we'll have upon completing the explicit consent prompt. The next phase is to go to the consent preferences dialog by clicking Get Started, and we'll start to build out those actual preferences in much the same manner as we built the prompt itself. The content is placed here under Title, Message, and Button. We can also customize the CSS, HTML, and JavaScript for aesthetics and location. But in this case, we'll also now be given the ability to configure the categories or the marketing channels that the data will arrive at. You can see here that we can add any number of marketing channels to our list, whether it be analytics, affiliates, display ads, search, and so forth. We're going to choose Analytics and show that we can map the tags that we've configured in Tealium IQ to appear here under the Analytics category. This will inform the user precisely which data destinations we're going to be using in our company. The final option gives us the ability to remove or retain the universal tag cookie if we so choose. The summary appears for the consent preferences dialog as it did for explicit consent prompt in much the same fashion. And this is the result that will be produced upon completing both of those wizards in the Tealium privacy package. This first result is the consent management prompt that contains all of the messaging you input while moving through that first wizard. The title and the specific messaging is shown at the top, and custom HTML has given the user the ability to see your company's detailed privacy policy. Notice that the user is also given the ability to either opt in or opt out of the various data collection activities explicitly. Explicit consent, as we mentioned, is required, so neither opt-in nor opt-out is checked by default. By choosing opt-in, the user allows TIQ to collect all of the data you've configured in your data layer, as well as activate all of the tags that you have previously configured to fire. You'll notice the Advanced Consent Options link. By clicking this link, we are brought to the result of the second privacy package output, the Consent Preferences dialog. And as you saw just a few minutes ago, this dialog allows you to go into even more detail with your users. Each of the categories that you configured and defined in the privacy package, in this example, analytics, social media, and email, are shown in this dialog. And the user now has the ability to turn off or on, say yes or no to each of these different marketing channels. By choosing off or on, the user can rest assured that data collected during the session will only go to the technology systems that they want. The privacy package that you've seen today is the latest version as produced by Tealium Engineering, and as time goes on, it will continue to get refined. Thanks for listening.